Hey, I took the vaccine booster shot last night and now my left arm is incredibly sore and I have fever and I'm slowly dying in my own bedroom. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite movies, and today it is about time for me to do another movie roundup where I talk about movies and TV shows and animes I've watched in the last few weeks or so. So, starting off, at the very end of January, I finally finished watching La Casa de Papel, or Money Heist, Part 5, Part 2. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the whole Part 5, because after Part 5, Part 1, I didn't really want to do a review on it because I just didn't want to, but after Part 5 is over and the whole thing is over, I'm going to review it now. So, La Casa de Papel is created by Alex Pina. It is a Spanish TV show, and at first, I actually quite liked the series, but since Part 3, it started to prioritize action and spectacle and shock factor over good writing, so the writing naturally became less and less intriguing and compelling. I get it, man. Berlin is a fan favorite character, but spamming flashbacks of Berlin just made it so much more redundant and repetitive, and it's just so uninteresting. Another really uninteresting thing is whatever happens inside the bank. It just feels redundant. The only interesting plotline, in my opinion, is whatever happens to El Profesor. That being said, though, whatever happens to him is sometimes so unrealistic it's actually funny. Halfway through Part 5, one of the main characters dies, unfortunately, but instead of feeling like a very climactic thing, it just feels like a last-ditch attempt to make the story more intriguing. And the story overall just feels really rushed and dense, and while I like the ending, it's super climactic and conclusive and nice, and I do applaud the show for having so much production value, I still think this is quite underwhelming. So Part 5 overall, I'm giving it a light 6 out of 10. Strong 5 to a light 6. Next up, I watched Possession from the year 1981, written and directed by Polish director Andrzej Żuławski. And damn, watching this movie was a huge mistake. I shouldn't have watched this right after Persona because my mind was literally melting after I watched Possession. This is the kind of film that gets more and more insane and nonsensical as the film goes on. The characters get weirder, the dialogue gets more and more hideous and strange and clunky, and in a way it's actually quite entertaining because it achieves exactly what it's trying to achieve. My mind is breaking apart. The subway scene, oh my god. It's brilliant and it's disturbing as hell. French actress Isabelle Adjani is amazing in this film. And Sam Neill is also really good in this film, which is quite confusing because when I first watched the movie, I was like, hold on, Sam Neill? Sam Neill from Jurassic Park? What are you doing here? And yeah, the cinematography is amazing. The tracking shots are nauseating and dizzying, and it's a very special one. 9 out of 10. Up next, I watched The Lobster from the year 2015, written and directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. And wow, this movie is way more interesting and entertaining than I had ever expected. Nobody like Yorgos Lanthimos perfectly blends dark comedy and drama together. The dialogue is so awkward and clunky and funny. I actually really enjoy it. And the first half of the film is basically flawless in my opinion. Like, I was actually really invested in the characters. The setting is really nice, and the whole film is just hideously bland and dull, and it's actually quite clever. I mean, the script is really smart. A lot of the characters from the first half of the film comes back in the second half and is actually purposeful. So I actually really enjoy it. Initially in my review, I gave this movie an 8 out of 10, but now that I'm thinking about it, I actually like it even more. Light 9 out of 10. Afterwards, I watched The Big Lebowski from 1998, written and directed by the Coen brothers. Finally, I've watched this film. And, yeah, I mean, some scenes individually are really, really funny. And everybody's great in this movie, don't get me wrong. Jeff Bridges is amazing as the dude. John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman is in this movie as well, and he's amazing. But I don't know why, but altogether, this film just isn't as funny or as entertaining as I had expected. It just falls a little flat near the middle of the movie, and it just didn't really, work for me or anything. So, yeah, 8 out of 10, I guess. Light 8, maybe. Decent 8. I don't know anymore. Anyways, I finally finished watching Hawkeye, the latest MCU limited series thing, and yeah, I made a full-length review on it. Check it out. But in my opinion, Hawkeye is just very bland and uninspired. Haley Steinfeld's character is your average haha whatever teenager, and she's really boring. The final fight is a total mess. Like 5 things were happening at the same time. I like that the MCU is trying to humanize Hawkeye's character, but overall it's just a really disappointing and underwhelming one. 4 out of 10. Next up, I watched 天下可憐父母心, or The Great Devotion, from the year 1960, written and directed by Cho Yun. This is the second black and white Hong Kong film I've ever seen that is released prior to the 70s. And before I watched this movie, I was actually a little bit confused because there was another movie that I really wanted to watch called 父母心, or Parents' Heart, from the year 1955, also from Hong Kong, also black and white, duh. And since 父母心 and 天下可憐父母心 are similar in title, I really didn't know which one to watch. But at the end, I went with this one, and I was actually quite surprised by how tragic and emotional this film is. It's just tear-jerking, just sobbing movie. Oh my god, just Jesus. The last 15 minutes is very rushed, and it's very overwhelming. But overall, this film totally, definitely had made its point. It's just tragic as hell. 8 out of 10. For Valentine's Day, I watched Lars and the Real Girl from the year 2007, directed by Greg Gillespie. And yeah, well, I didn't watch it on Valentine's Day. I watched it on February 12th so that I could review it on the 14th. But anyways, this movie is different from what I thought it would be. Actually, this movie is not depressing at all. In fact, it's endearing, sweet, and comforting. Ryan Gosling nailed it as Lars, the main character, and I really love that this film doesn't stigmatize mental disorders at all, and it feels grounded. It doesn't feel overly bold or ambitious. That being said though, the directing is just normal and average, nothing all that crazy, but it's still a pretty good movie. Light 8 out of 10. Next up, I finished watching Kimetsu no Yaiba Yukakuhen, or Demon Slayer The Entertainment District Arc, written and illustrated by Gotoge Koyoharu, and I mean, what can I say? This is my favorite arc in Demon Slayer so far. It's colorful, it's fun, the animation is truly astonishing, and from time to time the characters can fall flat, but overall it's not that big of a problem here. 8 out of 10. And then I watched Hakusek Heikek, or Black Comedy, from the year 2014, directed by Wilson Chin, Qin Guok Wei, and written by the prolific lowbrow humor writer Wong Zheng. My words can't describe how much I hate this movie, so I'm just gonna play a clip. 1 out of 10. I mean, this movie isn't insultingly bad, but god, this movie sucks. Finally, I watched The Third Man from the year 1949, directed by Carol Reed. Honestly, I had extremely high hopes when I went into this movie. I thought I would give this a 10. The first 10 I'm giving to a film noir, and the first 10 I'm giving to a film from the 40s. But unfortunately, I was quite disappointed. This is a pretty standard film noir movie that is made by a British company and is set in Vienna. And the music sounds like SpongeBob, which I don't really mind, but it's just so repetitive. It's like they're looping the same soundtrack over and over and over again, and it's just kind of disrupting. The cinematography is just okay. I mean, some shots are really, really nice and well lit, but most shots, especially indoor shots, are just okay. I mean, the chase scene in the middle of the movie was really fun, and that's easily the best scene in the whole film, and Orson Welles is amazing in this film for the 3 scenes that he was in. But maybe because I was really sleepy that day, but I almost fell asleep at the very end of the movie, and it just didn't really vibe with me. I mean, again, production-wise, it's great, acting-wise, it's great, and it's not that bad of a movie. It's decent in my opinion, but overall, I just think it's okay. It's an okay film. Strong 7 to a light 8 out of 10. So, have you watched these movies? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate them? Like them, subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.